Coming up on TekThing, Ubuntu, it's in the Windows Store. Net neutrality, we're under 60 days. Hard drive or NAS, tools to find out why your internet is slow, Model F keyboards, and more. All coming up on TekThing. Thank you, patrons. Without your support via patreon.com/TekThing, we wouldn't be able to make the show for you every week. Join the crew that makes TekThing possible at patreon.com/TekThing. Thank you.
I'm Shannon Morse.
And I'm Patrick Norton.
And this is TekThing, where we have something useful in every single show.
Yes, we do.
I can't see anything right now.
No, you can't. So I decided I didn't want to be wandering around and stealing welding goggles out of welding shops on August 19th or 20th on my way up to Oregon.
So you bought a giant pack of 20
I bought like
Eclipse
a 20
glasses?
pack of Eclipse glasses, and I've tested them, and they work.
Good. I can't wait to test mine.
If you are going to go see the Eclipse, and boy, there's going to be a lot of, it's crazy, right? We talked about it a couple weeks ago, August 21st from Portland, exiting South Carolina.
Yeah.
If you are thinking about watching the Eclipse, you do need eye protection unless you want to burn your eyeballs out to the back of your skull.
Yes.
Don't wait until the last minute.
Yes.
Or you'll be buying
true.
the like $300, I've already noticed like some of the welding goggles are like $12 welding goggles or maybe $35, but they're labeled Eclipse protection systems or something like that.
Of course they are.
Of course they are.
I'll just wear these. These are fine.
Oh,
it's a
my
one-time
goodness.
thing, whatever.
Yeah. And I should also say I'm also working on the solar photography with the phone.
Yes, that'll be fun. I'm going to work on the solar photography from the DSLR standpoint to see how that goes. So we'll have more information as the time gets closer. But for today, we are recording this on Prime Day. Yes, we are.
It's Prime Day. And I actually made a Prime Day purchase.
What'd you buy?
The coffee maker I've been lusting after.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it was like $30-40 off.
Oh, wow. That's pretty good.
I'm very excited.
Yeah.
The wire cutter, taking names, kicking ass, but not nearly as excited as I am, because check this out. As of 3 p.m. Eastern Time, they have scanned 17,200 deals and found 98 that are worth passing along to you.
Oh. Well, you know what, Wire Cutter, thank you so much for doing all that hard work for us. Really appreciate it.
Instant Pot.
What is that, another coffee maker?
No.
Oh, it's a crock pot. Oh, maybe I should get that.
It's a
mine
pressure
sucks.
cooker.
Mine is terrible.
It's way cooler than a crock pot.
Oh, it's a pressure cooker.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how to use a pressure cooker. Anyway, we're pretty excited about that.
Oh, my goodness. For a brief flash there, this is the Windows Store.
Yes, it is.
That is Ubuntu. I'm just saying.
It's so weird to me to see Ubuntu on there. But you had mentioned to me a while back that they had announced that.
Back in Build 2017, right? Yeah. Ubuntu, the Windows app, was announced at Microsoft promised it at Build 2017, which is, again, I'm staring at this and like laughing. It's in the Windows Store, but you cannot not everyone can install it. You can only install it right now if you're running Windows Insider builds, which are beta, which is why I'm not running them on this particular laptop.
Okay.
So I'm in the process of taking one of my other laptops and bringing it back into the Windows Insider lifestyle.
Okay, got it.
You got to go inside, basically, go into the command bar. It's pretty easy to opt in. Windows Insider, and there it is. Windows Insider program settings. Get Insider preview builds. Normally, right about this time, there would be a situation here where you could actually turn on the Insider preview builds. Once you turn them on, it's going to take a while. You can sort of it'll block out your day, it doesn't try to install the major updates between 8 and 4 or whatever your times is. I basically set those to 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. to try to speed up the process, but you're going to have to wait to get Windows Insider. It does its thing.
So you sign up for it. Yeah. Oh, I see it's shown up on your account.
Yeah, and once you've done that, and once the Windows Insider build is installed on your machine, and let me warn you that Windows Insider is essentially a beta version of Windows, and occasionally things go wrong. Not particularly often. I was running it for like a year. Except for
that's going to happen.
One 7-day period where my machine rebooted every 3 minutes.
Nice.
I just waited for the next build. If I'd been smart, I could have rolled it back.
Yeah.
If you decide you don't want Windows Insider, you will probably have to wipe your machine, or you may have to wipe your machine and do a fresh install.
Okay.
Just be forewarned.
Good to know.
The other thing that's really funny about it is to actually, once you have Windows Insider built, you have to go into the You have to turn on the Windows subsystem for Linux, which Microsoft built into Windows last year.
Right.
And so
yeah,
you go
they
into
started including commands and everything like that.
Yeah. So you go into the control panel and you go to turn Windows. There we go. Turn Windows features on and off. If you click on it, it actually opens up, and then you will scroll all the way down to Windows Subsystem for Linux Beta.
I almost sneezed.
You know, I often sneeze when I think about Linux being hosted inside of Windows.
So you turn that on, and then you're good to go. But I'm assuming you would have to reboot, right?
Yeah, you'll probably be rebooting several times in the process of it. And then, once all of that is done, you can go back to the store
and install Ubuntu
and
for once and for all.
Should be gettable.
Cool. Well, that's pretty exciting. I think that's going to be really useful for a lot of people, especially so you don't have to like use a VM. Or is it a VM? Is Ubuntu on Windows a VM?
Oh, it's an app.
Oh, it's an app. Okay, so it's not a VM.
You know, I have no intelligent answer to that question.
We'll find out.
Yeah, we'll demo. Yeah, we're gonna demo. We'll demo this on the show next week. And
cool.
I feel like writing down to myself, note. Is it a VM or an app?
Well, while you do that, I'm going to move on to the next story. And this one is a big deal for everybody out there. I feel like everybody should care. Net neutrality. It's pretty much going to be dead and gone in 60 days if Ajit Pai, who is the FCC chairman, and all of his good friends, including the people he previously worked with, Verizon and Comcast, all get their way. So like for me and Patrick here, we both shoot videos. We make a living off of doing videos online, distributing stuff over the internet. So of course, we're pretty concerned.
Yeah, and you could basically say, you know, Patrick, you're chicken littling again. It's highly unlikely that Comcast may decide to throttle traffic from small internet websites.
You know?
It's not like, yeah, you could also argue that it didn't hurt Netflix, right? We can totally hang with the payments and lawyers Netflix style.
Well, we don't have that kind of money.
No, we don't, and we can't. So one of the things that is happening this week is an opportunity to speak your voice, battleforthenet.com. And there's an extraordinarily large group of people behind this.
EFF, yay!
Yeah, well, I mean, this is just a small subset.
That's a very small sampling of everybody who is for net neutrality.
Yeah, I mean, and that's like, and you start looking at, oh look, Mozilla, 99 Designs, Netflix, Demand Progress, Amazon, Etsy, Kickstarter, Vimeo, GitHub, Twitter. You know, and they're all businesses on the internet, so you could also argue that these people are biased.
I'm seeing lots of open source names in there. Wow.
How crazy is that?
No surprise there.
It goes on for a while. Patreon,
yay, Patreon.
You know, yeah, I mean, it's like, the point is, you know, I can't guarantee. I can't guarantee that the FCC commissioners won't ignore your letters. In fact, they've essentially, at least one of the commissioners pretty much said, I don't care. Send your email. I don't care if every single American sends me, well, he didn't say every single American. He basically said he doesn't care how much response he gets from the American citizens. He's going to do what he thinks is the right thing, which is basically let ISPs do whatever they want with packets. Personally, I think it's a great idea. What Battle for the Net did is it sends it to the FCC and to your local representation, your representatives and your senators.
Which is awesome.
They tend to pay attention to stuff like this. What they really pay attention to is phone calls.
Yes. I've heard from multiple sources that you should call your representatives because even if you get on the phone with somebody that works in their office and you know maybe they're not available, but you can talk to that office person. Maybe you don't know exactly what you want to say. Just get on the phone with them. Make it very known that you're a human. You want to make your information known. You want them to understand that you know you empathize with this, and we're very passionate about it. So get the word out there, and you know call your senators, call your representatives.
And this counts for anything you care about because
it really does.
There's some sort of Captain Nemo decoder ring kind of thing where like 10,000 emails is like 50 phone calls.
It's
is
true.
Like 3 letters. It's like 1 telegram. Like I'm assuming you can actually figure out how to send.
The amount of impact that you put in, generally, the more amount of impact that you put in, generally increases the amount that they care about what you feel.
Yeah.
And you can really see that when you start calling your representatives. I've done it. It's easy. It's really easy to get on the phone with them. You could even leave a voicemail, so just do it.
Yeah, I don't think we should have to pay extra for packets that you already pay to have it delivered to you. I don't think businesses on the internet should have to pay extra to get quality traffic. And I understand also some people say like, well, peering's effectively dead because large companies like Google already interoperate directly with large ISPs like Comcast, and that's efficient, and that's why they do that. But it also doesn't prevent Comcast from going like, I don't like your packets.
Ah, no.
I will do a deep stateful packet inspection, and I will slow them. And look, man, I get it. A lot of people out here are just horrified by government regulation. If you think we got this wrong, that it's unnecessary government regulation, that Comcast totally has your back, or that Title II regs are slowing the build out of internet in small communities because they were all getting built out so fast before Title II regs, or that really more and some people are going to be like, hey, what we really need is an extra ISP in every community in America. Because then I think actually if there was reasonable choices or more than one choice in a true free market with a bunch of options, then I think we would see ISPs probably not being like, I think I can make a little extra money here.
Yeah.
Pay up. I don't know. Do us a favor. Feel free to send a polite, well-reasoned email to ask@TekThing.com.
Or, of course, I'm sure we'll get comments as well. We always do if we talk about these kind of things. So you can always comment below. Please be courteous to your neighbors. As usual, we really appreciate any kind of feedback. Everybody is valuable in our community, so we really appreciate everyone's opinions. And, of course, if you are not the kind of person that wants to comment or you don't like YouTube commenting, that's totally cool, too. You can always tweet us at Snubs, at Patrick Norton, and at TekThing as well.
But if you want to do a longer discussion,
email
ask@TekThing.com.
Yeah. We got an interesting comment and question from CJ. He wrote ask@TekThing.com, just watching episode 131, where you were talking about the price of larger SSDs. I used to do the smaller SSD for programs and larger hard disk drive for data, but ever since I built my NAS, I've been using just SSDs in my system. I use a 500 gig SSD in the system for all of my programs and things I'm currently working on. Everything else goes on the NAS. I know you both have mentioned having a NAS, so I'm curious why you don't recommend moving data off of the system to the NAS and using a smaller SSD for the system. Thank you for the useful info and keep up the good work, from CJ. Thank you, CJ.
Yeah, that's a really good question.
Yeah.
Because I actually store a ton of data on a Drobo 5D.
Oh, cool.
That attaches to my PC via USB 3.0. It's also got a pair of Thunderbolt ports if you're rocking a La Vida Mac lifestyle. You want to get your monitor chaining on. It's got 5 drives, and it's fast, way faster, in fact, than copying or reading files to a local hard drive or rotating a hard drive over USB 3.0. And I've been known to carry it to the office and back again.
Yes, you have.
Back files off of my work machine. Part of the reason I like that is because it is way faster than a NAS, a network attached storage device, because you don't have to go over your Wi-Fi or your Ethernet.
Right.
I don't mind streaming files off of a NAS or storing stuff I rarely use there, which gets us kind of back to your question. I think I brazenly assumed that most people don't have a NAS to store stuff on their home network.
Yeah, I found most people either like my parents, they don't understand how to use a NAS, or most people just don't have a use for one. So they use cloud storage for their backups or whatever, and then they just use their internal hard disk drive for all of their data.
I don't know that using an internal hard disk drive is actually that much simpler, except that people get a drive letter, or they plug in an external drive and it's the thing, and they drag it onto the thing.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite moms.
Or like flash drives or whatever.
We put it on the thing. Okay, Mom. So yeah, I mean, I tend to answer the question more for the audience than for myself. I think that makes sense.
So I'm actually glad that he brought this up, because personally I use my NAS as part of my 3-2-1 backup system as one of my local backup options. But since I am one of those weird people that's super ultra paranoid. I also store a local copy of my data on my main PC as well as the NAS. So this is so in case for some reason my NAS fails or my hard disk drive in my PC fails, I always have a local backup in the event that I need some kind of immediate access to a file, and either I can't download it from my cloud backup or in case my internet goes down for some reason. So that way I have a little bit more of a safety net, and that's how I use my NAS and my internal hard disk drive.
And I want to make it clear that in case the earthquake comes and Shannon's house is swallowed, hopefully without the cats. The cats are up on the site, but should there be an electrical strike that takes out all of the hardware inside of Shannon's house, she still has her third copy in the cloud.
That's right.
So. Yeah, no, I get where you're coming from, though. I think 500 gigabytes is a nice sweet spot for an SSD.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's like $164. Some reason.
I think mine's $250.
Yeah, it probably. Well, the other thing is like the prices have come down so far in the last couple of years, but 500 gigabytes seems to be. I'll be honest with a 1 terabyte SSD. I don't really think about storage.
Right.
But the $300 for a 1 terabyte SSD seems really, really expensive. But $160 for a 500 gigabyte drive doesn't hurt.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, and I will say if you are still running a hard disk drive, you're running your computer on a hard disk drive, running Windows on a hard disk drive, find the cache to get an SSD. It is if you are still running on rotating media for your operating system, it is mind-blowing.
It's like night and day how much faster an SSD is.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. And you can then take that SSD and use it for your next motherboard or something like that, your next PC build. So you're running like 200 or 300 gigabytes of video through our editing station every week. Oh, yeah. What is your process?
My process.
What's your workflow? How do you make this all happen?
Right.
I mean, because we've got the editing station, which has SSDs and hard drives in it. We've got a NAS. When does the stuff go to the NAS?
So we always record everything, all of our video files in 1080i. Yes, I know that's interlaced. It was not my choice. It's a very long story. Eventually it'll be fixed. And all that data is stored on a 500 gig solid state drive, which is inside the PC. And then I work locally on Premiere Pro on that same PC. And the final exported video file is then stored on our backup, which is a Synology NAS, which has 8 terabytes of hard disk drive space available. So once the entire week is over, I don't need all those original video files that were saved on that, I think it's a 500 gig SSD in our internal PC. I just delete them all off the SSD, and then I keep the final cut in our library after I make sure that I don't need those original files anymore. But that's about it. That's the entire process, and it goes pretty quick, and it's efficient as well. The only manual labor that really goes into it after the recording and editing and all that other manual labor is deleting the files after the week. And that's it. So yeah.
After they've been copied.
After they've been copied. Yeah. I did that once where I accidentally deleted an original video file, and then I was like, oh, I needed to use that B-roll. No!
I hate
We had to re-record it again.
It happens.
Video recording woes.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, no, stuffing extra data on a NAS makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
As long as it's not stuff you might, in a desktop PC, it's not like you're going to be carrying it around from place to place.
You won't move it around. So if you have the NAS available, might as well use it for storage.
Makes sense to me.
Totally.
And spend less money on a drive.
Yeah.
But that assumes you spent the money on a NAS. And now I'm going to circle like a dog chasing its tail, so I'll just stop.
Email us what your options are for backup storage, especially locally. We love looking into especially NASs and your solid state drive picks. I've been thinking about upgrading my own SSD, so I would love to know what your recommendations are. You can email ask@tekthing.com, or you can tweet me @Snoobs.
NVMe. It's all about
NVMe.
Got a question? Are you curious to see us review something on TekThing? Got a tip or an idea you want to share with the crew? Please fire them out to ask@tekthing.com, or you can tweet @TekThing, @Snubs, or @Patrick Norton. That's me. And hey, if you want to be part of the crew that makes TekThing possible, please contribute to the show at patreon.com/TekThing. Just $1 an episode will make a big difference, and you'll get access to our patron-only build videos, hangouts at the $10 level, and quite a bit more. New build video coming. Keep an eye on the website. And thank you for your patronage. You make the show possible. you can't donate, we totally understand. Keep sending in your emails, asking your questions, giving us your ideas. And hey, if you could spare a moment or two to give our video the thumbs up on YouTube, like our Facebook page, or review TekThing on iTunes, your favorite podcatcher, or just share it with a friend you think that might enjoy it, that would be awesome. We'd really appreciate it. It all helps. Thank you so much for supporting TekThing, no matter how you do it.
We were talking some more to Benny, the viewer with the slow VPN issues. It's definitely not his PC. It is fairly modern, so we wonder what's going on with his ISP and his network, which brought Patrick to something he had never checked out before, but we're super excited about.
WinMTR.
Yay!
But let's start with the basics, right?
Okay.
You know, if you open up a command, a box, a terminal in the Windows, and I'm going to open up two for reasons you'll see in a second. There's a couple fundamental tools you can do to figure out what's going on with your connection to like a website or an IP address. Ping, and I'm going to type in pinggoogle.com. And it's pinging Google,
Yay!
Like a submarine using active sonar. Ping measures the round-trip time for messages sent from the originating host to a destination computer that are echoed back to the source.
Okay.
I'm quoting the Wikipedia there. And so it gives you an idea, like, you know, ping is essentially like a test of like how fast it goes.
Right.
It is a test of, you know, I want to say latency, but you know, it's if it takes forever, you know, or doesn't connect at all. Let's try ping. Pretty sure that's not going to exist.
That exists, apparently?
I don't know.
Although
Either that,
maybe
you know,
it was purchased or something.
I suspect that was one of those DNS redirects to an advertisement kind of thing.
Yeah,
but,
it probably was.
Should have chosen that more carefully. But you get the idea, right? You get, you know, it sends 32 bytes. It gives you what the round trip is. And this is a good and useful thing. But when I was working, when I was first working with a bunch of CDNs back at DLTV, we had problems where people would be like, my downloads are this slow.
Right.
And that's when I became familiar with something called a Traceroute. We would have them ping a particular server. In this case, I'm going to run Traceroute. You know, as many times as I've typed this, you'd think I'd be able to type it, and I'll do google.com again. And a traceroute displays the route or the path in measuring transit delays of packets across an internet protocol network. Again, I'm quoting Wikipedia, and that's interesting. There it goes.
Yeah, so it's going to give you like real-time data in this case.
And the idea is that this is essentially where your stuff is going. And there's also visual traceroute, which is really fascinating. One of the most amazing ones is when I learned that, you know, we think of the internet as being this thing that's, you know, it's designed to survive a nuclear blast. The internet will magnificently reroute itself to get the packets to where they need to go. And the reality is, to make the internet more functional, because everybody on the planet's using the internet, is a lot of the routes for your packets are hardwired. So if the route gets kind of foobarred, to use a highly technical term, you can end up with a situation where you have, like, in my particular case, I was going from San Francisco to a CDN in Arizona, and I was getting 20 millisecond ping times because it was being routed through a server in Langley, Virginia that was broken. And then we had to escalate through, like, you know, level 2. We had to go up to get somebody.
The OSI model.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about actually level 2. Like, we had to go like halfway up. We had to go like halfway.
I'm thinking about the whole networking model.
Yeah, no, that's even more awesome. Too much awesome for us to do on the show today. But I would say, you know, run a traceroute to a website with and without the VPN on, and see if there's a hang up somewhere. What'll happen will be like, you know, 16 milliseconds, 30 milliseconds, 45 milliseconds, and then it'll be like 755,000 milliseconds. That's where the hang up is. Then you can call your ISP or your VPN to see if they can figure out a way to change the routing, or if they have a solution for you.
Yeah, those are super helpful.
Which then led me to discovering something that I'd never actually used before, which is MTR, Matt's Traceroute. Or originally Matt's Traceroute.
Matt's Traceroute, I love it.
My Traceroute. A computer program which combines the functions of the Traceroute and ping programs in one network diagnostics tool.
Yay!
Which of course is built into Linux.
Of course it is. So luckily on Linux, it's really easy to get if you don't have it already. It's just apt install mtr-tiny. And if you're on 1704 like I am with Ubuntu, it's just pre-installed, so you don't have to install anything. Nice. Then you simply just run Okay, so you can run a couple of different options. You can run MTR TAC-RW and then whatever website you're going to. So I tried hack5.org, and then you'll get your ping times and any kind of packet loss. And if you scroll down a little bit, you can also run MTR TAC report and then whatever your website is that you're trying to get to, like google.com, which is always a great example. So I am getting 0% packet loss with rate limiting at one router. And if you're curious about rate limiting, that will happen sometimes on different routers if they're customized that way to keep them protected from DDoS attacks. So if you have multiple attempts from MTR trying to get packets through, it'll slow down that packets and then you'll have that packet loss. But the reason why I think this is rate limiting is because the one right after it is 0%, which means that packet loss did not continue. It just happened at that one location, and all the other ones are perfectly fine. So most likely just protecting from DDoS. But yeah, so that is one of the ones that you can use. The other one that I have used before is called NetStat, and you can also get that one apt-get install or apt-install. That one looks just like this. It's NetStat Tech S, and if you want to, you can pipe that to grep so that you can see the output and put in retransmitted. So retransmitted is going to be any of those packets that are retransmitted because the first time there was an error and they could not get through. They couldn't get any kind of acknowledge from the location they were trying to arrive at. And then if you want a more detailed analysis, you could always use Wireshark, which is also one of my favorite programs ever. And if you're curious about Wireshark and getting really into the details on how to use that, where exactly your packet loss is happening, and if you want to send a PCAP over to your ISP, which I don't even know if they would understand what you were doing, but they might appreciate all that data.
They would respond by asking you if you'd unplugged your cable modem and your router and waited 30 seconds.
Yeah, well, I did a playlist, a whole series about Wireshark over on youtube.com/hack5. So I'll put a link to that playlist down below so you can learn about how to use that as well. So you have plenty of options for figuring out where the packet loss is happening along the transit of your packets going to their destination and coming back to you.
Not saying you can fix it, but you might be able to spot it, and then you can start asking questions of your ISP and your VPN, mostly likely your VPN provider.
Yes.
WinMTR is available on Windows, but of course you will need an app. WinMTR.net is the place to go, and don't do what I did, which is automatically download the 32-bit version, which will not run on Windows 10. I was like, why isn't it running? And I'm like, you got the 32-bit version.
64-bit, baby.
64-bit version will work a lot better. And this is my ping to Google, and I like the fact that you can kind of click on any of these and get it a sort of an isolated chunk of information. So it looks like
the output is eerily similar to what I get in my command line.
One would hope.
Yes.
But I also, you can export it as text, export it as HTML. And
nice.
Yeah, I like it. Makes me happy.
So you have plenty of options, Benny, and I do hope that this helps you on determining why your VPN is running slow.
And by the way, if you want to really nerd out on WinMTR, there is a lovely the linode.com/docs/ we'll put the link in the show notes. Diagnosing network issues with MTR.
Nice.
Good stuff, people.
Good stuff.
Hopefully this helps some of you. We like to nerd.
We do like to nerd out a little bit. So way back in May, a U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit found that the FAA drone registration was unlawful since they should be considered model aircraft. So this was for that $5 registration that over 800,000 people so far as of the date of recording have signed up for. So you were required to do this if you owned a drone that was over 0.55 pounds and under 55 pounds.
Right.
AIN Online did a really great write-up about what's happened. So the DC Circuit Court, in the case of Taylor versus Huerta, determined that the registry violated a provision of 2012 FAA reauthorization legislation, section 336, that prevents the agency from regulating model aircraft as long as they are flown safely. So the FAA is currently still taking registrations as of today. Now, because of the Court of Appeals decision, the FAA is currently refunding anybody who signed up and also allowing you to delete your registration off of the website.
They've made it very easy.
Yeah, so you can read all about it right here. There are a few hoops to jump through. TechCrunch did a nice little write-up, but you can just go to that link that we included in the show notes and download this nice little paper document, fill in all your information, and then you got to mail it. You have to mail this to Oklahoma City, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So, yay, snail mail. Hopefully it gets there all right. So while the FAA, their ruling was struck down, Congress is currently trying to reinstate it too. And I did want to mention this as well. They would have to reinstate it to make this new thing, which they're trying to happen, possible, which is remote identification systems for drones in the US. So this would allow them to remotely identify who your drone belongs to, since they pretty much determined that those little registration numbers that you had to stick on your drones under the FAA model, you couldn't really see them when the drone was flying in the air, so it didn't really help them with regulating the drones.
Are we talking about like a transponder for your drone?
They haven't determined that yet, so they're still trying to figure out the technical details, but we will probably be hearing about this more in the coming months. And hopefully Congress doesn't reinstate the registration. I didn't like having to give them all that information if I
just
owned
stopped
a drone.
flying the heavy drones. And look at that.
Well, it was very easy to get a drone that's over 0.55 pounds, so
yes.
anything over that would have to be registered.
The two that I own that are that heavy, I have not flown since the registration went into effect.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I know lots of people. Racing drone people, folks that do like video from high up and stuff like that.
I don't like to give public databases information on where to steal my stuff.
Exactly. But let us know what you think about all these changes that are currently happening in the drone hobbyist era. And you can always tweet those at Snubs, because I too have built a drone, and I too enjoy flying them and not having the FAA peering down my back about what I'm doing with my drone. I am a very good drone pilot, I promise.
Don't fly in front of aircraft.
Yeah, like it's that easy,
people. Don't fly by airports.
Don't ruin it for the masses that are doing it nicely.
Don't fly it over football stadiums full of people.
It's that easy. Common sense, people.
Well, it's not that common. Got a lovely tweet from Crashbox, who says, at Patrick Norton, I'm assuming you've already seen this and laid your money down. What? So he linked to a tweet from Kyle Rankin, who says, how did I miss this massive Model F crowdfunding project until now? And you're probably wondering, Model F? Well, go to modelfkeyboards.com. Yeah, this is the predecessor to my beloved Model M keyboards with their buckling spring keys. And,
wow.
In case you're wondering what the difference between mechanical capacitive buckling spring keyboards with NKRO and, buckling spring keys in a Model M is essentially a giant foot.
Dude.
And an actual, like, PCB. Or as the website says, out was the incredibly sharp and firm click of the Model F's flippers making direct contact with its large printed circuit board. In was the Model M's tiny pivot plates hitting a rubber mat and underlying plastic membrane sheets with a relatively dull thud.
Yep.
So
I remember that.
Let me
Not really, I'm too young for that, but
well,
I have a lot of friends. who...
This is the relatively dull thud.
Is that a Model M?
This is a Model M. Okay. So this is a Model M. I kind of grew up with these, so these are what I think of as I can type faster with these. I love these. I can keep entire neighborhoods up at night typing with those. Model F aficionados call them built to last. Very, very precise keys. I will give them that. They weigh something like 5 pounds, a lot of steel in the construction. And the people who were sort of living La Vida keyboard in the transition from the Model F to the Model M, think of the Model M as being cheap. Yeah. Feeling cheap.
That's what I heard from my older friends.
Yeah, see, this was considered to be underbuilt at the time.
And this is so hardcore.
Yes.
Compared to the ones that we see on the market these days. This is hardcore.
Yeah, the people way back then had no idea how horrible keyboards could actually get.
Yeah.
They basically say that, these are less precise. They have a heavier feel. But I will say, I think these are considerably more precise than a typical, Cherry MX or Cherry, Cherry or Cherry clone.
Yeah. I think my dad had one of these.
Oh, a lot of people.
Showing my age.
Yeah, no, me and a buddy of mine both would basically poach these anytime we saw one at a garage sale for years until we both ended up with our stashes. It's really crazy. Tempting as it is to order, this is the F77, which is kind of like the classic. There's an F62 which just has the main keys, and this adds the numeral keys. And you may notice that, oh, there they are. These are not cheap. Like, tempting as it is to order an F77, the new ones, they start at $325. You're up to $359 by the time you buy a set of keys for them. And I'll be honest with you, I have a stash of Model M keyboards that should last the rest of my life and probably my children's life, and I do not need another model of keyboard to obsess over. So.
Well, it's not going to keep me from tweeting that out to all of my friends.
You should tweet it out to all of your friends.
It's really cool.
It's, yeah, I mean, the fact that I think it's awesome that they're doing it. I also think it's awesome that if you're looking to repair or restore a Model M, clickykeyboards.com is a tremendous resource. You know, they basically, you know, they have parts to repair your keyboards. Yeah, and they also sell refurbished keyboards. And another one that's really cool is phosphorglow.net. I hope they actually start selling. Right now you can only buy it if you get one of your keyboards overhauled there. But I will also say that their overhauls, they do absolutely gorgeous work.
Cool.
And look, they have underlays.
What?
So you can have color contrast on your keyboard.
Oh, that's what I've wanted my entire life.
I know. Mock me while I'm still alive, because the keyboard and its backing will last longer. By the way, Unicomp still makes new buckling spring keyboards.
Oh, cool.
In case you're looking to take a step up from a cherry-based keyboard. There are no LEDs. There are no amazing light shows on these.
Right.
But this keyboard will probably outlast you and your children. Not as precisely as a Model F, apparently.
Oh, man.
But this costs $84, and the Model F is going to cost you about $350.
There's some serious geek cred going on right now.
That's
pretty cool.
I type for a living
yeah,
when I'm not
me too.
making video. I like my keyboards.
Oh man, that's awesome. Let us know what you think about those keyboards too, because I have a lot of friends who will be very excited to hear about those.
And I have a HyperX keyboard I'm perfectly happy with on my machine at home.
Yeah.
But it's not quite as awesome as the Model M, but it's much less likely to get me divorced. Because it's in the kitchen next to the bedroom.
Yeah,
and
true.
The Model M has been banished to the garage again.
All right, remember, once in a while, put down your phone, step away from the screen, close the laptop, and do something analog. Like Jack, who writes in, my something analog today was relaxing on the back porch before dinner. Oh, that looks so relaxing. What a nice view.
Yeah,
wow. I don't know where you
porch.
live, but man, I'm a little jelly.
It's in Colorado.
Oh, it's Colorado.
All I can reveal.
Yeah, it makes sense with the mountains back there. Gosh, that's gorgeous. Thank you for emailing us, and if you have an analog pick, you can send them to ask@tekthing.com. We would love to feature you in a future show.
Please do.
I think that's it.
I'm Patrick Norton.
I'm Shannon Morse.
We'll see you next week on TekThing.
You can't see anything through those.
Well, yeah, I guess you can't really see anything through the cardboard either.
Nope.
So. Well, that didn't work.
You really can't see anything out of them. They're so dark.
It's pretty. I
They're perfect for the sun.
just barely see that one.
Can you? Oh, I can't see.
It's pretty crazy. Should be able to just see some yellow dots. Wow, I gotta stop staring.
I can't see it. I'll have to use them outside and look at the sun.
You should. By the way,
I see those.
Don't. Oh, you know what it is? Probably because it's facing more directly towards you.
Yeah, I see those ones.
Don't stare at.
Gosh, how silly do we look right now?
800 lumens. Well, I'm the one who was staring at what are those, like 800
Don't
lumens?
look at those. They're really bright and they're hot.
They hurt.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.